guys, welcome back to another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. I'm your host, Priscilla Davies, and we're back at it, guys. We're back at it again. You know, we're here to get messy. We're here to have a little bit of fun. We're here to be a little fresh, a little mischievous mayhaps, but also informed. Okay, am I right? So, before we get into the show, of course, a little check-in. How's everybody doing? Just a quick little update on Gerrymander Gate, or the Gerrymander Wars, I think we should call this. Last episode, we talked about how Texas decided to go along with Donald Trump's plan to gerrymander the hell redistrict during a non-redistricting year in order to give Republicans an advantage in the 2026 midterm elections at the behest of Donald Trump. We talked about all that. We broke it down. Go back and watch if you didn't see that, okay? And we also talked about how California responded in kind and said, okay, bet. Governor Newsom said, if that's what you're going to do, then we're going to see you and raise you. And we're going to do the same thing here in California. And other governors like New York's governor, Maryland's governor, I believe Illinois' governor have already chimed in and said, yeah, us too as well, in addition to, okay? And so, y'all, we have an update. So as it stands, Texas already approved the redrawn maps, okay? California already responded and said, we're gonna vote to do the same thing here. And y'all, Missouri decided to join the chat. Missouri decided to join the chat, and they have said that they are going to gerrymander the hell out of their shit in order to ensure more seats for Republicans, of course, at the behest of Donald Trump. Y'all, things are getting messy and honestly, as the Jamaicans say, a little bit scary. A little bit, okay? I'm not gonna lie, this gerrymandering race is not looking good. You know, state after state deciding to go toe-to-toe. Like, what does this look like it's setting itself up to be, guys? This is not a good look, okay? And we talked about the repercussions of this, the potential repercussions of this. It's not a good look. So Missouri's jumped in the chat. New York already said, what's up? So we'll see how New York responds. We'll see how Maryland responds. We'll see any other red states if they're going to jump in the chat as well. And if that's what happens, folks, we'll keep you posted here. We will keep you posted here. All right. All right, folks, let's get into the show, shall we? Okay. So I came across a TikTok, okay, of this young woman who was talking about how 50-50 dating is feminist. Okay, this was her pitch. And she basically said 50-50 dating is feminist and you're not. Okay. So I saw this TikTok and I was like, oh Lord, is this the new wave of feminism now? Is this the new wave of 50-50, going 50-50 with men? So let me just play what she said so we can set this picture up.
This is going to ruffle some feathers, but there is a gross entitlement in women who refuse to go 50-50, who think it's ridiculous to go 50-50. I think it's ridiculous that you think that's fucking ridiculous. Are you literally fucking insane? If you are pro-woman, if you're a feminist, if you don't like the constrictions placed on you by gender roles and expectations, why would you, in your right fucking mind, believe that just because he's a man, he has to pay more? That's ludicrous! Sprinkle culture is diabolical because what the fuck is going on? Treat him as your equal. You guys are equals. If you are going to place any expectations on someone purely because of their gender, that's unfair. It's not justified. Period. Point blank, period. I've never expected my boyfriend to pay for our dates. We will split food. Unless someone offers to pay for your meal or offers to pay for something or gets you a gift, you cannot expect someone to dote on you financially. Like, why does that have to happen in your relationship? You have to have a man that can solely provide for you. Are you insane? We fought for decades. Our mothers and grandmothers and their grandmothers fought for equality, fought for the right to work, fought for the right to be able to be an equal. But you want to fucking financially trap yourself with a man and then call us crazy for going 50-50? Girl.
All right. So that that creator, their name is Amanda, or I guess actually it's AMNDA. So AMNDA.com. So if you want to find them on TikTok and you want to go check out their content, feel free to. So when I saw this TikTok, immediately the first thought that came to mind was, ladies, oh boy, ladies, in 2025, you should never, ever be going 50-50 with a man. Do you hear me? In 2025, in any year, honestly, but especially now, ladies, you should never, ever, ever be going 50-50 with a man. First and foremost, you are disadvantaged in a patriarchal system. You are at a disadvantage in a patriarchal system. Men gain socioeconomic benefits for being with women. The invisible labor that women do in a patriarchal society. And let's not forget the inherent risk that women take engaging with men, period. Okay? Guys, ladies, please bring it in. We're about to go into all of these and break them down and tease them out so women can understand just how plain out stupid it is for you to be talking about going 50-50 with a man in a patriarchal society that disenfranchises and oppresses women. Come on, guys. Let's think about it. First and foremost, let's just talk about the fact that, first and foremost, women, you should not be going 50-50 with a man because women don't even make as much as men do in this patriarchal society. Let's just start there. Okay? The fact that women are making, white women are making something like 70 cents on the dollar for every dollar that a white man makes. And then I think it's like 60 cents and like 50 cents or 40 something cents, when you go down the racial hierarchy, the racial gender hierarchy in this country. So for every dollar a man makes, women are making 70 cents, 60 cents, 50 cents. And you want to go 50-50 with a man? And he's making more than you in this society for doing the same work? Come on, sisters, wake up. And then to be calling it feminism? Going 50-50? Oh my God. Another reason, women, why you should never, ever, ever go 50-50 with a man is because of the invisible labor that women do in this patriarchal society that they are not compensated for. The invisible labor. For example, carrying children. Can a man go 50-50 on carrying a child? Can a man go 50-50 on pregnancy? But you want to go 50-50 financially? This patriarchal society we live in has taught everybody, including women, to devalue women's work. We treat things like carrying and delivering and raising children like it's a regular Tuesday. We minimize the value of that work. Why? So that we don't have to compensate women for that work. Pregnancy. Think about the fact that we pay women to be surrogates for other women. So we pay women to have children for other women, to carry children for other women. But when it comes to carrying children for their husband or their baby daddy or their partner, they don't get paid. So we recognize the value, that there is value in carrying children enough that we are going to pay strangers to carry our children, but we won't pay the children's mother to carry their own child. It reminds me of the foster care system and how they're willing to pay foster parents, but they'll take children away from poor parents because the poor parents don't have money to take care of the kids. But the state will pay foster parents to take care of those kids instead of giving the money to the poor parents, giving the support to the poor parents so they can keep their kids. But I digress as usual because it's all intertwined, intersectionality, it's all intertwined. So we recognize the value of pregnancy when we're paying surrogates, but we don't pay mothers. A woman will grow a whole entire life inside of her body. That baby, that embryo sucking, siphoning energy from the mother, siphoning nutrients from the body of the mother. And we don't value that? We act like it's just whatever. Oh, she's just pregnant. It's no big deal. Someone left a comment on one of my posts. I don't know who, I forgot who the person was, and I won't be able to quote them, but it was, one of them red pill manosphere type guys. And they basically were talking about how, the easiest work in the world is to just be pregnant. So you're growing a life in your body with your own body. And not only is this baby siphoning energy and nutrients, sometimes to the point that you have permanent disabilities after giving birth to this baby. Women, that's the thing they don't tell you. This is what I mean when I say they devalue women's work. They hide the truth about the impacts of pregnancy. They hide the fact that women be out here losing their teeth, losing their hair, getting irreparable diseases, dying from being pregnant. Women are putting their bodies on the line, their lives on the line to have babies, to carry these babies. And we're just like, whatever, that's not real work. And we got people talking about going 50-50 with your man is feminism. See, when folks say 50-50, they're talking about the financial aspect of things, and they just completely brush off the non-financial stuff. Like I said, women's invisible labor. They brush off the inequities, the fact that men make more money than women do. They just focus on the money aspect, and it's just because, as usual, these are the things that are overlooked intentionally because the society doesn't want to compensate women for the work that they do. So they just act like, oh, that's just mother's work. That's just what a mother does. Now let's talk about labor, delivering the baby. How many women don't even make it out of the delivery room? How many women have how many mothers, people who have babies, pregnant people, how many pregnant people sit there and have crazy trauma, like going into all kinds of crazy, going into comas and delivering their babies? How many pregnant people are in labor for days? Excruciating labor. I mean, I don't have kids, but I can't even imagine what it's like to go through labor. I mean, the miracle, because that's really what it is, right? I mean, this is on some next level stuff that women do, that pregnant people do, birthing children. This is some next level stuff. And do women get paid for that? Do mothers get paid for that? No. Nope. Nobody gets a check for that. Once again, undervalued and devalued work that women do in society. Nobody's getting a check for that intensive labor, literally called labor. And you want to go 50-50. Can the man go 50-50 on delivering the baby? And don't get me started on the men who go home to take a nap because they don't want to sleep on the couch in the room. Don't get me started on the men who don't even show up for the labor. Can men go 50-50 on the labor? No. So is this really a 50-50 relationship if you're doing all of this invisible labor and this man is also getting half of his bills covered by you? What about child rearing? Breastfeeding, pumping milk. Can he go 50-50 on breastfeeding with you? Because most mothers, most birthing parents, they breastfeed their children. Is he going to be able to breastfeed with you? Can he pump with you while you sitting at work in a dirty stall, in a dirty public bathroom, pumping, sitting on a nasty toilet? Can he go 50-50 on that with you? I actually, speaking of labor, I had a comment and someone was like, of course you can go 50-50 on labor. You do the labor and then they just do everything else. Some bitches die in labor. Can you go half on the dying part? That's what I mean when I say they devalue labor. In their mind, it's like, oh, you just, breathe a little bit and pop the baby out like you're in the bathroom dropping off the kids at the pool. Can that man go 50-50 with you sitting in that dirty stall at work pumping for your kid, pumping milk? So where is the 50-50? Let's talk about the household, because that's where a lot of this invisible labor gets done. We know, statistically speaking, the vast majority of the household work falls on the woman in the house, the mother. We know that even self-identified progressive men statistically still don't do an equal amount of housework around the house. And that even those so-called progressive men, they still fall into gender roles when they move in with women or they get married and live with women. So even the quote unquote good guys, the feminist guys, will still have you picking up their dirty drawers. And we know statistically that not only do married mothers, not only do they do the vast majority of the housework, right? But they also have more work added to them because of you. Having a husband in the house adds more work. They're working more. They work more hours in the house than single mothers do. Single mothers are more well-rested on average than married mothers are. But I thought single mothers were struggling out here because they had to do it all on their own. I thought it was so important for the daddy to be there. But actually, he's adding to your burden, girl. And this is statistically proven. Go look it up. I'm not making this up. We've actually talked about it on this podcast before. Go back and take a look where I pull out the actual stats. So this woman now is taking over a majority of the labor in the household, right? And if you have children, she done carried the baby at the expense of her own body. And what they don't tell you is that it's not just about, oh, I lost my figure. It's not just about that. Some women they are incontinent after having children. Some women, like I said, die. They don't even make it through the pregnancy. So you done had, if you guys have children, you done had carried the child, birthed the child, took care of that child. Because let's be real, the vast majority of childcare falls on the mama. The dad takes care of the child for 15 minutes and it's like, whoa, amazing. Give that guy a high five, 5 stars all around. He's babysitting his kids. Dads get to babysit their kids. And you talking about going 50-50 with that motherfucker. So all that invisible labor that he cannot ever go 50-50 with you on. Or in the case of taking care of the household that he chooses not to go 50-50 with you on, playing dumb, weaponized incompetence, acting like he doesn't know how the laundry machine works, the washing machine and the dryer. Now you got to hold his hand and then you're like, forget it, I'll just do it myself. And there he goes again. He won again. Now he doesn't even have to do the laundry anymore. So there's invisible labor he cannot go 50-50 on, and invisible labor that he most likely statistically will choose not to go 50-50 on. So you're doing 100% of the child bearing, the child carrying, and most of the child rearing. You're doing most of the household stuff, and you want to pay 50%? And you want to pay 50%. And I know there's people, because there was people when I talked about this on my TikTok earlier this week who didn't watch the whole TikTok and decided to jump to the comments because they got flustered. They didn't like what I had to say. I know that there's people who are going to be like, okay, well, I don't want kids. And I am a feminist man who does believe in doing 50-50. Or, a woman thinking, well, I'm going to find a man who's going to do 50-50. Every woman thinks they're going to find that unicorn. Every woman thinks she's going to be the unicorn that finds the unicorn. I mean, I would touch your hand when I say this, but whatever, you're not gonna listen anyway. But, let's say you get lucky and you really do find that unicorn. They exist, they do exist, but there's not, the numbers, the proportions ain't in our favors, ladies. But let's say you do find that unicorn who really does contribute to the household and you guys don't wanna have kids. You're not having kids, he does contribute to the household. He's 50-50 in it. And when I say 50-50 in the household, 50-50 in the housework, I'm not talking 50-50, but you're writing the list and breaking up the rules. You're the one that's telling him on Sunday he has to do this, on Friday he's got to do this. No, I'm talking he takes the initiative. He's not sitting here waiting for you to tell him to do things. He takes the initiative and gets it done. Because now suddenly, I know some of you 50-50 bitches just had to knock off a couple points after I said that, okay? Let's keep it real. Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it 100. Okay? Like, y'all be talking about 50-50. Meanwhile, you're the one making a big old chart in the kitchen with stars so that he knows what he has to do. So yeah, he does it, but you're still doing the mental load, the invisible mental load of getting him to do it. But let's just say that you really are the unicorn that finds the unicorn. You don't have children with this man, and you guys really do take on the household 50-50. This man really does go, do things without you needing to hold his hand, without you needing to ask him. He takes initiative just like you take initiative, okay? And you guys are making the same amount of money. You're equally contributing financially to the household, okay? Let's say it really is, you found that, okay? How do you then go 50-50 on the socioeconomic benefits that men get from being associated with women? How do you go 50-50 on that, girl? First and foremost, we already know that being with a woman boosts men socially. They get clout from being with women. There's a reason why when a man walks into a room with a bunch of women on his arm, he's the man. Do the inverse. If a woman walks in with a bunch of dudes on her arm, she's a hoe, right? Men being with a bunch of women boosts their street cred. Let's look at the inverse of that. Women being with a bunch of men ruins our reputation. We're called whores for that. So not only do women benefit men socially, but men detract from women socially. So not only are we helping you, but you're hurting us socially. What about the fact that married men make more money than single men? This is statistically true. On average, married men make more money than single men. What about the fact that on average, married men are healthier than single men? And not just married. I mean, this also applies to, just because you don't have a piece of paper and you've been with, you know what I'm saying? And it's not just the married. Let's keep it real. Even the girlfriends of 6 months be out here improving their men's lives. But statistically, we know that married men are healthier than single men. We know statistically that married men live longer than single men. And we know statistically that the inverse is true for women. Married women live shorter lives than single women do. Married women are unhealthy compared to single women. Single women are healthier than married women. Single women have better job prospects than married women. Single women are happier than married women. So how do we account for how do we go 50-50 on those socioeconomic benefits that men get that women not only don't get, but we get screwed for associating with that man? Just getting married, just having children, you now have screwed yourself on the corporate ladder if you're trying to rise up the ladder as a woman. Just getting married, now you ruined your job prospects. You decide to take time off to take care of your children. You come back, now you can't even get a job. Meanwhile, you married that man, and because of that, one of the side effects of that is that he's making more money. And let's be clear, this isn't magic. It's not magic that's creating these benefits for married men, okay? It is, once again, more invisible labor on the part of their wives, on the part of their partners. The man is making more money because she's telling him to demand a raise. The man is making more money because she's filling out the applications for him. She's typing up the resume for him. She's submitting the application. She's nagging him to go to the interview. She's the one pulling out his clothes for the interview. She's the one washing them and ironing them. Should I go on? Married men live longer than single men. Not because it's just a fluke, because he's married, because she's the one setting up the doctor's appointments for him. She's the one making him go to the doctor. She's the one making him eat healthy. Again, more invisible labor that women are doing. And you want to go 50-50 financially on top of all of that? Oh, Lord. Come on, guys. And again, that's just the socioeconomic benefits. Another reason why you should never go 50-50 with a man is because of the inherent risk women take just engaging with men. I had some people comment on my post about this very topic right here. And they were like, okay, well, women shouldn't go 50-50. You said all these reasons because of pregnancy and marriage and, the invisible labor. Okay, but what if you're just dating? What if it's just a first date? And you know what I have to say to you? Did y'all not hear about that girl who went on a first date and the man dismembered her? On a first date? Are y'all not the ones telling your sisters and your nieces and your daughters to make sure that they go to a public place for their first date because you just never know? That's not y'all? Are y'all not the ones victim blaming the women who encounter trouble on their first date and make it out alive? And y'all are like, well, why didn't you tell anybody that where you were going? You don't know how these guys are. That's not y'all. So when you're asking questions like, okay, well, what if it's just a first date? Or what if you're just casually dating? You put yourself at risk as a woman when you are in the presence of a man. And that is statistically proven. That is statistically proven. I just saw a video a few weeks ago of a man who walked up to a woman he did not know, y'all. They didn't exchange now one word before he walked up to her. He walked up to her and he tried to snap her neck. All caught on CCTV. He didn't even know her. He just saw a woman standing outside of a club and said, you know what? I'm gonna go try and snap that bitch's neck. And he did. He did. And she didn't even know him. And y'all are telling women that they should be going 50-50 even because it's a first date? We're in danger just around motherfuckers walking down the street. Just walking down the street. And this is statistically proven. I mean, what is the number one killer of pregnant women in this country? Homicide. And who do you think is killing pregnant women? I promise you there's not pregnant women serial killers, just a whole bunch of them out there. It's their partners, their husbands, their baby daddies. That's the number one killer of pregnant women in America. It's not hypertension. It's not diabetes related, pregnancy related diabetes. It's not the dangers of childbirth. It is homicide at the hands of your male partner. So when people say, well, do we even need to, are questioning going 50-50 when we're talking about just casually dating? Yeah, just the inherent danger that you put yourself into, even just on the first date. But also on the second date, on the third date, on the 15th date, when you guys are kicking it at his crib and you piss him off, he might just flip on you. You don't know. The horror stories that are out there. As someone who has officially stopped dating, listening to some of these horror stories, I'm grateful that I made it out alive. I'm so grateful I got lucky. I really did get lucky, and I chose some, and they weren't even that great either. But I chose some motherfuckers who didn't get too crazy on me. So, yeah, even if you're just casually dating, even if it's just the first date, no, you should not be spending 50%. You should not be putting yourself at risk and spending 50%, paying 50%. So you putting yourself at risk and paying to do so? Oh boy. It's a bad look. Come on, girl. Stand up. And the last reason, and honestly, it's not the last reason. The last reason I'm going to talk about right now, because I could keep going. The last reason why women should never, ever go 50-50 with a man is because of the energy exchange. Now, if you're not ready to talk about energy exchange, if you don't understand the concept, keep it pushing. I don't want to hear people being like, oh, that's a bunch of hocus pocus. Okay, great. You said what you had to say. Keep it pushing. This is for the people who know what time it is. Okay? All right? Not only do all of those other perks and benefits do men get from being around women, but there's also the energy exchange. Men are siphoning women's energy. Do you understand what I'm saying here? I played a video of a man on this podcast explaining it. I actually should have pulled it. Actually, you know what? Can I pull it up right now? I don't want to waste time looking for it. But I played this video. You can go to one of the previous episodes of a man explaining that and how that works and how men will siphon women's energy, especially during sex, and then use that energy to blow themselves up. And he used P. Diddy as an example. Look at how much P. Diddy's been able to do, sucking the life out of all these women that he keeps around him. There's a reason why. Why do you think that dude is catcalling you on the street? You think he really wants your number? No, he just wants your attention. Why? Because attention is energy flow. Whatever you're putting your attention towards, your energy is flowing in that direction, and they're getting that energy and they're drinking it up. They want it so bad that they're even willing to get negative energy. They know that most of the time you're probably gonna flip them off or roll your eyes. They don't care. Just like a little kid looking for attention from their parents, they'll take negative energy too. Why do you think that man is pressed up against you in the elevator when there's all this space in the elevator? But this motherfucker right up on you, he's drinking up your energy, girl. He's drinking in your good ass lotion, your bomb ass perfume, your good vibes, your hair shampoo, because he probably can't, doesn't have a lady in his life to be sniffing on in his life. So he's like, you know what? I don't care if I have this woman's consent. I'm going to push up on her in the elevator. Why do you think he pushed up on you in that crowded ass club? Why do you think when you go past that man in the club, he got to put his hand on the nape of your back, right up on top of your ass crack? Nigga, get your hands off me. You can let me pass without putting your hands on me. And if you need to, which you don't, my shoulders are available. They're taking in our energy. They're siphoning our energy, ladies, positive or negative. And that is something intangible how do you go 50-50 on that? That you're gassing these fools up. Give a man a compliment. His whole day is set. Look at what women look like when there was a whole trend on TikTok about what women look like when they're in relationships. I think I mentioned it on here before. I mean, gorgeous women being like, talking about their relationship, and then they post a picture of what they look like. And when I say jump scare, I'm talking stunners. And I mean, they look like bags under the eyes, 50 pounds overweight, 50 pounds underweight, they hair all a mess, looking a hot mess, looking like they haven't slept in years from being in a relationship with a man because they are steadily draining you, girl. And look at what men look like in relationships with women. Dressed down, looking good, smelling good. Come on. And you want to go 50-50 on top of that financially. And you want to call that feminism. See, that's the problem with not with feminism, but this angle on feminism, right? This idea of like, well, we're looking for equality. No, but we're looking for equity. There's a difference. In the same way that we talk racially about how we want equity. Okay? Equality, just because things are equal doesn't mean things are fair. Okay? What if we decided that everybody equally has to wear the same exact clothes? Everybody. That's equality, right? But what if those clothes are only designed for male bodies? What about everybody else who doesn't have a male body? But we all have the equality, right? So everybody should be happy, right? That's the logic you guys are saying here. But that's not the case. We're looking for equity, not equality. On paper, going 50-50 with your partner financially as a woman, on paper, yeah, that sounds like it's equal. But when you pull back and you look at the big picture and you look at all of the things that we talked about here, right? The disadvantaged position that women are in society, in this patriarchal society. When you look at the invisible labor that women do for men and consequently for the society. When you look at the socioeconomic benefits that that men gain from being associated with women and being involved with women. When you look at the inherent risk that women take engaging with men. When you look at the energetic exchange that happens between women and men, where men are siphoning women's energy to go and pop off. Women putting so much energy into men and relationships. This man is just growing and getting better and better, going up the corporate ladder. Meanwhile, you're getting more miserable, more depressed, more unhealthy. When you look at all of that together, is it really equal? If you're on top of all of that also as well, in addition to paying 50% of the bills? I mean, the math isn't even adding up. Really, what it turns out, what ends up happening to these 50-50 women, which, by the way, the woman that I stitched in, in the beginning of this, who was talking about 50-50 is feminist. And if you don't believe in 50-50, it's because you're not feminist, because nobody should just be doing things because of their gender. Yeah, it's not just about their gender. It's about how genders are affected by this society that is a patriarchal society. Like, let's pull out here. But you have these folks talking about, this woman, she mentioned in the whole clip that her man goes 50-50 with her. So of course she's sitting here over intellectualizing why she's actually still feminist, doing probably most of the housework, okay? Probably having to hold his hand and then also paying 50-50. These women who do this, who go 50-50, right? They soon realize, well, they don't even realize, because again, they're devaluing their invisible labor, right? So they don't even understand what's going on, but they start to break down physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually, because that shit wears on you. You're doing like 75% of the labor and the finances in the relationship. It's uneven, and you're going to exhaust yourself. I mean, it's just untenable. That's why all of our mamas look the way they do. That's why all of our mamas were stressed the way they were. Especially the boomer generation, because they're the first generation that decided to go into didn't decide, but they fought for that, right? To go into the workforce. And of course, we're talking about white women, because that's another thing she said. Because remember, black women and non-white women, they didn't have the luxury of not working. Not only did they not have the luxury of not working, but even after enslavement, there were even places that created laws to make black women work. Okay? But I digress again, all right? So you have these, oh, I lost my train of thought. Let me go back to my notes. So yeah, you have these women who are over intellectualizing, them doing this 50-50. They don't realize, because they are diminishing how much free labor they do in the household, the mental load that they carry, and they're diminishing that work. They're undervaluing it. So they don't even realize what's really going on. Meanwhile, they're getting sick. They have autoimmune disease. They have all kinds of sickness, which, by the way, I believe it's something like 80% of all autoimmune disease is women, okay? And they're stressed, they have hypertension, because they're dealing with an undue burden, and they don't even realize it, because they've tricked themselves into believing that 50-50 is equality. When it's not 50-50, it's more like 75-25, 80-20, and that's if you're lucky and have a decent man. So this type of mentality has repercussions. This is why all of our mamas were worn out. This is why all of our mamas were stressed out. This is why all of our mamas were taking out their frustrations on us children, because they had too much on their plate. And deciding to go 50-50 with a man in a patriarchal society that has an outweighed benefit for them, where they benefit, and not only do they benefit, but you lose. It's not just that they win, but you literally lose. And now you want to pay 50-50 on top of that. Girl, you're going to kill yourself. You're gonna die, because that's what happens. That's what happened to our mamas. That's what happened to our grandmamas and our great-great-grandmothers. They freaking died. They got sick and they died. And they were miserable. And they put on a happy face for us, and then they went back in their room and they cried themselves to sleep. You don't wanna live like that. And now we know better, girl. Until we live in a truly, truly equitable society. Until we truly live in an equitable society where there is no patriarchy, miss me with that 50-50 bullshit. Miss me with it. Because as I've so eloquently broken down the plethora of reasons why, and I didn't even, mind you, I didn't even get into the health risks of being with a man. Yeah. I mean, literally just last month, I don't know if it was the CDC or the health or whatever health organization put out a recommendation for women who are married or dating men to get on PrEP. And for those who don't know what PrEP is an HIV medicine that helps to stop transmission. They said, ladies, if you're dating men, if you're married to a man, it would be smart for you to get on PrEP as a precaution, to be proactive. So you're also putting your health at risk. How many married women getting STIs from their husbands? And how many women in committed relationships getting STIs from their boyfriends? I mean, like I said, the list goes on why you should never, ever be going 50-50 with a man, especially in this day and age. The list goes on. Should I get into the financial abuse? Should I get into the fact that one of the leading causes of gray divorce, which we talked about on this podcast, which is divorce of people 50 and over who have been married for a long amount of time? You can go back and check that episode out. We talked about that. One of the leading causes of gray divorce is financial issues. And what's one of the leading financial issues? Women finding out that their husbands have secret accounts. Women finding out their husbands have secret accounts. And this is a common thing. I had someone in my comments talk about it. She was like, I'm thinking she was telling her story that she went 50-50 with her husband. And she was like, I'm thinking I'm going 50-50 with this man. When we get divorced, because they got to go into all the records when you're getting divorced. Come to find out, this fool had secret accounts. So he was stashing his money. And here you are, girl, talking about some 50-50 is feminists. Hello. This is what happens when you don't understand how to take theory from the pages of the book and apply them to the real world. Yeah, theoretically, it is feminist to be equal. That's theoretical, right? But in practice, you have to take it from the book, from the pages, and apply it. And sometimes when you apply it, you realize you gotta tweak that shit because the circumstances are not ideal. And so you can't apply an ideal solution to an unideal situation. So it's important for people to recognize the difference between theory and reality. Yes, get the theory, understand the theory, but apply the theory to reality and be real. Okay? It can't just be black and white. You gotta be, work with what you got. Okay? Oh boy. In conclusion, ladies, don't ever come around me talking about, no, I go 50-50 with my man. I don't want to hear it, okay? And you can go back and watch this whole episode to find out why. With that being said, guys, we've come to the end of another episode of No Niche Zone, the podcast about everything. You can follow us across all platforms at No Niche Zone Pod. You can also subscribe to our YouTube at No Niche Zone Pod, and you can send your listener letters into nonichezone@gmail.com. And of course, you can follow me personally across all platforms at Pris the Goddess. Folks, we'll see you next time. No niche zone. No niche zone. It's a party over here. No niche zone.